Hey y'all, I just wanted to make this quick video. If you're reading the title, then you know I'm gonna be talking about, Tomb Raider. I thought I'd make this video because, well, the new game is coming soon, March of next year, which is not that far away, actually. I mean, we're already in October. We just got November, December, 5 months actually until its release. So the game is coming, and I can't wait for it. I mean, it looks great, both visually and the story, and it's supposed to be a reimagining and an origin story for Lara. So we get to see Lara as this younger, inexperienced girl that's, basically got to go through all these tough challenges to harden her up to become the Lara Croft that we've known her to be for, the past 2 decades. Or, just the past decade or so. Um, but yes, this is an origin story. There is going to be a collector's edition. I've just recently read about that. And it's supposed to come with a Lara Croft figurine and maybe some other stuff too. But they made sure that they stressed that it would include a figurine, which is nice for fans of the series, that really love Lara Croft, so they get to own a statue of her. So yes, that's a good point of this. What is another good point of this? Oh yeah, the pre-order incentives have already been laid out on the table as well. GameStop gives a DLC level for challenges and puzzles, things like that. Amazon, they give you, I think they're giving you an art book and a costume DLC. And Best Buy, they're giving you a comic book and a costume DLC. So if you go at Amazon or Best Buy, you get the costume DLC and an art book or comic book between those two. But with GameStop, you get an extra level DLC. I would pick the costumes sound nice and all, but I would rather go with the level. Not only that, that's the only one I can go with because that's the only one I can realistically afford. But I'm going to try and go and get the collector's edition because I love the Tomb Raider series. Even though the last few games were just okay, they weren't entirely amazing, I think they were great games. And that was because the original developers, I guess they went out of business and they gave whatever licenses to Core Design, from Core Design, to Crystal Dynamics. So, they gave up their hold on Lara Croft to Crystal Dynamics, and Crystal Dynamics pretty much had to go off of the mythology they had set up with the last few games. And they tried doing it, but they made their references more or less based around the movies. You can clearly tell with the design from the mansion and how Lara interacts with everyone, even though they probably needed the dialogue so that it's more interesting. That you could kind of tell that they were trying to imitate something that was on its own standard, something good. One exception to it though was, Tomb Raider Anniversary, which was both a tribute and a remake of the original, 1996 game that made everyone go, wow, this is amazing. I mean, because that's the game that started the series. The reason I wanted to bring this up was just recently, on Netflix, I rented the DVD for Tomb Raider, the first movie, which it's been years since I've watched it, and just watching it made me remember, why I loved Tomb Raider to begin with. What the series meant to me, going on all these adventures with Lara Croft, in her PS1 days. They were just fun. All these puzzles. It was very challenging. Like it was just fun. It felt like wow, I'm going on an adventure with this character. A lot of guys liked the character because hey, she was an attractive character. They used sex appeal to their advantage to get guys to buy the game, but they also had the feminine personality and character that made females, you know, feel empowered to play as the character they wanted to be the character. So when Tomb Raider got the movie, like, Tomb Raider fans were excited. I was excited. I remember going to see it the first night, opening night in theaters. I was like, oh my god, it's Lara Croft. I was like 10 years old at the time, but even so, I was still excited because she was just one of those characters that caught my attention. And it was one of those few games out there, like, because, this is the. Tomb Raider was in the 90s, like, one of the main games that had a female character in it. Like, it was not like, okay, you could pick this character, you could pick this character, like, not one male and one female, because a lot of games were doing that. So even though a lot of games, had a female choice, they were basically saying, here, you could play as this character, not really forcing you to kind of play as one or the other. So when Tomb Raider jumped to the scene, it actually forced you to play as the one. And at this time, not many knew that, Samus from the Metroid Prime series was really a female, other than the die-hard Metro fans. So, Lara Croft was one of the females that truly did stand out. And when Tomb Raider got its movie in like 2000, 2001, it was just like one of the best moments, like, as far as video games were concerned and, movies, because it was just like, wow, this is an amazing character. Yeah, the movie did some things differently from the game, but it was still about Lara Croft, and that's what made it a good movie, is the fact that, like, even though they did their own little take on it, Tomb Raider has always been one of those games where you could put the character in any adventure, and it would still be a good game. Like, it didn't just follow, like, one set story. The character would go on a series of adventures, and each adventure will focus on a separate story. So that's what made the movie interesting. The fact that we got to finally see, Lara and her family history. And at the time, like, this was Angelina Jolie who took the role, and she was the perfect Lara Croft, for that time period. Because there was no one else that came close to looking like Lara Croft as much as she did at the time, other than the original model for Lara Croft. But Angelina Jolie was the perfect choice for the role at the time, because especially if you've seen her last movie that I know of, which was Salt. Like, she does all these crazy stunts and everything. So the movie was amazing because, Angelina pulled off the character the best way. I don't think anyone else could have matched it at the time. And this was before, she went crazy with Brad Pitt and everything, because these were her younger days, like. So this was when she was a more likable person. But yes, the Tomb Raider movie, the first movie was like, oh, this is great. The second movie did even better in terms of action. I was like, wow, this is amazing, in terms of the action and everything. But the characterization, like, they still show that she was pretty much tough. But the ending, I think, is what kind of killed it off right there, is because at that point they just made her seem kind of like the typical girl going, I can't live without you, because she had fallen in love with, Gerard Butler's character, and I think this was pretty much his first movie, at least the one that I've seen of him, back in 2003 or so. So he, more or less went on the adventure with her in the movie. I forgot what his character name was, but I do remember he was in it. And they made her seem kind of typical, and then that just, kind of ruined it for the Lara Croft image. And so that was the end of that. And by the time that movie came out, it was more or less, the time when Tomb Raider had finally reached its first PS2 game, The Angel of Darkness, which was the last game by Core Design. And, they're kind of ending to their storytelling of Lara, because right after that they passed it off to Crystal Dynamics and things changed. But, so the series had a lot going for, it empowered women, but it also had guys attracted to the characters, so that was a working formula. I guess they had to use that to their advantage in some way, but by the PS2 gen, Crystal Dynamics pumped up the sexualness more. They sexualized Lara even more than her PS1 days. And now we're moving on to the PS3 gen and everything. Because now that they're done with the mythology that was already set up, they're going back and kind of reimagining and giving us the backstory on why Lara is Lara today. What did she go through that made her such a tough character that she is in all these other games that we have played. So, and we're gonna get to see some of that with this new game, where Lara's basically struggling to survive. She's shipwrecked. She has to find whatever is left of the people that were on her ship with her and make it out with them. So, and Tomb Raider has always been one of those middle ground kind of games. It's not entirely real, but not entirely fantasy either. It's always been a middle ground game. So, using the imagination there, it's a very imaginative and just fun series. It shows that why being able to imagine, being able to dream and fantasize is important for any game. Because games today, they focus on so much reality that it's not even funny. Games try to focus on being realistic and, all this reality stuff, but it kills the fun factor there, because who wants reality when, it's supposed to be about fantasy in all these games, anything, entertainment related, they have reality TV shows, and they have documentaries, but those are meant for channels that Neo Graphic or Neo the Geography channel and the History channel, really, and MTV, much since they don't cater to music anymore and they cater to reality TV. But reality is boring, we live reality every day, so to see it in any entertainment, it's even more depressing. I mean, really, who cares about what's going on in some celebrity's house? I mean, as long as you like that person's music, fine. You don't really need to know what goes on behind their closed doors. You just need to know them as your favorite singer, someone that makes their music. If you want to find out about their personal lives, hope you meet them in person. Get to know the person if you want to know about their personal lives. Not some of the stuff they do that gets thrown out of proportion by the media. And with games, but anyway, that was an off-topic thing. But back to Tomb Raider and games. The whole reality situation with Tomb Raider, like I said, it's been middle ground. And Tomb Raider is meant for being, imaginative. Games are meant for being, they can be realistic to a certain point, but it's all about the imagination. So if you try and force reality into something that it's not supposed to have, into something that's not supposed to have it. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of thinking fast, and my words are getting a bit scrambled here. Then you get, you know, a failed product, you get a boring product, you get, let me use one example. I love Resident Evil 6, but due to a lot of fan input, you know, they tried being realistic with certain aspects, and you can tell where, and then it kind of hurts the game because people wanted it to be realistic when it's a game that's about fantasy. I mean, come on, you're dealing with, you know, bio-organic weapons, zombies, monsters, anything that is considered pretty much fake in the world today. I mean, yes, science can more or less probably make those things real, even though, but we haven't seen it yet. So until we do, you know, let's think of that as just a fantasy, something that doesn't exist. But anyway, I think I'll leave my video there. I just wanted to update you about, you know, Tomb Raider, because I just thought this was a topic worth mentioning. And Square-Enix, they do own Eidos now, so they own the, you know, the company that pretty much helped handle Tomb Raider from the beginning. So this is one of their things now too. And the game looks good. It looks like a reboot done right. So let's just see how it goes, and hopefully we get more Tomb Raider games to come. But I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. You know, rate, comment, do whatever you feel like. Have a nice day. Bye.